Welcome to the Disruptance Podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric Forney and Michael Bounds.
Every week on the show, Mike, we aim to disrupt the way that entrepreneurs think about their business in order to make them more profitable and productive. And this week, I want to change things up a bit. I want to disrupt the way people think about Mike Bounds.
Okay.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
I want to know, who is Michael Bounds? How would you describe that?
Well, some of the people listen to the show. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a Christian. I know I mentioned that. And I'm just a hard worker. I just go. So I don't know how to answer that.
I think you've referred to yourself as a tank before, right?
I am a tank.
Tell me about this tank analogy.
The closest thing I can explain it is when you watch the Will Smith video about the treadmill. Have you guys seen that?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep.
I literally feel like I kind of hacked myself, and it's kind of a good thing and it's kind of a bad thing. I remember hearing a story about Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan was playing basketball with a guy, and he was tired. And right when he got tired, Michael Jordan thought he was going to put his hands on his knees, and he was going to relax. And right before he did that, the guy he was playing did that. And so what he did, that told Michael Jordan that he was tired.
Yeah.
And it gave him a second win. So every time I feel tired, I hack myself, and I think that's when my competition is tired.
Okay.
So I keep going.
So I hear there's a streak of competitiveness in it then, if that's the case. So
totally.
So your treadmill
the
analogy, So Will Smith's quote was, "The only thing that I see that is distinctly different about me is I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill."
That's it.
Is in if we're running next to each other on a treadmill, I'm not afraid to die on this treadmill to beat you.
You're gonna get off of this treadmill.
Okay.
And I'm fat.
So that's where the tank part comes in, not the treadmill.
Yeah, I'm kind of relentless like that.
Okay. So how did you get here today? How did you get to where you are from a life and business standpoint?
Okay. Like my resume. But
not the boring Microsoft Word version.
No, I won't give you the Microsoft Word version. I got lucky and I got into new home construction. A few
How did you get
years
lucky
ago.
though?
I was actually in the middle of I built a house, and the sales counselor kind of recognized that I would be good at it, and I was.
Were you
working,
hustling him on his job or something?
No, I don't know. I don't know what he saw in me, and so he's like, "Man, you'd be really good at this." And I was making $40,000 a year in IT sales, and literally 2 weeks after he made that statement, I got laid off. You remember the whole bank in the 2008 when all the banks started buying each?
Yeah. So
that's when that happened. So anyway, I worked for a company that serves banks, and I went in there. I was terrible at it, but it gave me the opportunity to fail in my business and learn.
So you got into new home construction in 2008-9, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, whether you were terrible at it or not, you were going to fail,
dude.
Right?
Yeah, we were taking price. I remember taking a $20,000 price decrease,
which is crazy because now it's a $20,000 price increase every week. Or
I was there.
Yeah.
I was there making the material, lowering prices. That's when I got into new home sales. People are like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. So when you say you failed, how much did you fail?
Oh man, I failed.
How could you describe that, or how bad was it?
Colossal.
Are we talking repo in cars, or just not sell, no income, a little bit of income?
You mean from you mean building my business?
Well, no, when you were in new home construction, how bad was 08, 09 when you said you failed at it? 08,
I remember 08, 09. I remember the sales, I was in a neighborhood and there was no construction. Like there hadn't been any construction in the neighborhood for 6 months. And people would just keep coming into my model home and just ask me, ask us all kinds of questions about why we're not. So when you go to sell something, there's nothing back there moving. And the people before me, the sales counselor before me had sold, they sold 8 houses total between the two of them the whole year before.
Okay.
And so I took this over this neighborhood. And so from a failure perspective, like it teaches you so much, because this is the thing, when everything is rolling really well, there's no learning in that.
Yeah, not usually. For most people, there usually isn't. Yeah.
So, anyway, from that experience and another experience is when I worked at CP Morgan. So,
Okay.
And that was in that 08, 09. And, what I learned from that is if you have an opportunity, you have to take advantage of that opportunity to the fullest. So I worked there, and they had the American Idol style, like where they literally took us in a room.
Were you on American Idol? Now I'm intrigued. Oh.
No, they took us in a room and they literally fired the whole room. Like they took half the room and they said, okay, this room is gone.
Okay.
And I was in that room. And that stuck with me. I got in that room and that was my chip for years. And I knew if I ever got that opportunity to ever be there again, that I would not lose it.
So you got cut from, okay.
I got cut. They cut me. I was in that room.
They eventually filed bankruptcy and went out of business, correct?
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, within a year of that, they went out of business. So I don't want to say that was a normal thing. That was right before they were going out of business.
Yeah.
So, but in that first room, I took that. To be honest with you, it ended up being a blessing.
Was that the only job you were fired from?
Laid off.
Sorry.
Come on, man.
I like to. I just accept reality.
And no, I've been laid off another time.
Okay,
the IT company that I was talking about.
I happily tell everyone that I've been fired from every job I've ever had. So like, it's okay.
Yeah. No, that moment when I got laid off, I used that to fuel me, man. Like I knew when I got the opportunity to work at Pulte, I knew what I had. And so when I did that, I really leaned in. So there's nothing like having something taken from you.
Yeah, that's cool. So then from Pulte, then you, because you were doing well at Pulte, correct?
Yeah,
after
I did
the
great.
recession.
I loved it. So, well, I wasn't at first. At first, I was at Pulte. I didn't do very well, but I actually kind of learned from I started learning from a art form. Like I started to actually study sales from a sales perspective. And I worked at Pulte. Eventually was really good there. I loved it. It was a really good I had a great time there. So yeah.
So interestingly, do you think that your success at Pulte, that as you evolved and grew, was a byproduct of the training, like the sales training environment?
Yeah. So what it did is it allowed me like a laboratory to where I could take different techniques and then I can actually use it in a way that's safe. Like when you're a real estate agent, you only have so many cracks at the bat, but when you're in a model home, you just have people coming in, so you could just get really good at that part of the business.
You could be really repetitive. You can try something that doesn't work, improve the technique, redo it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's like a laboratory. And so I got pretty good. That's where I started social media, getting really good as in a model home. I was doing that back in, I bet you 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
It's interesting. I don't want to go too far off topic with it, but I asked you that question because I think sales training and good sales training is so incredibly undervalued as a requirement for people. Even if you're naturally someone who's good at sales, because that's just your natural demeanor, sales training is world class, I think, to help from an improvement standpoint. I mean, I know all of us have been in formal sales training, and I know for me, it's been massively impactful for my business.
Yeah, and especially if you lean into it, it allows you. So this is the thing: you can only get so far on your naturally, on your natural talent. So, the hard part is once you get to that level, you need coaching and training in order to kind of help break that. And so, what training has allowed me to do is to standardize my, what it is I'm doing, what works, what doesn't work, and then I can adjust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference. In fact, I still think it's one of the biggest pitfalls for real estate is that there really is not real estate sales process training. And, it's something that you and I both do, from a business perspective with our agents, at the office and within our teams, because it's a must have in my opinion, or people will really struggle, especially in today's market. So,
and I still do it, you guys. Like I have 2 coaches. This weekend training, they were trying to convince us to make 50 phone calls a day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, only 50? Like everybody's like, that's awesome. Like I'm taking basic because I'm always picking a technique. I'm like, I forgot about that technique. I'm totally into training.
So when you think about your strengths, then would you say, what's your biggest strength? Is it having had that sales training, or is it that relentlessness, or what is your biggest strength?
So I've been trained a lot. I am relentless. My biggest strength would be, I'm almost like a combination of those things, but I would say I'm able to learn. Like I read a lot of books.
Okay.
You know what I think my biggest strength is? I take action.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's one thing to be organized. It's one thing to it's like you have to take action or nothing happens. You have to take a first step. Mm-hmm. So,
you definitely do that.
I don't know if that's my greatest strength. I don't know. What is my greatest strength?
You know what? You're right. When you say that, that's actually something that I know we've talked about it before. I mean, you definitely, I'm almost like, I would call that like, you're like a pusher almost. Like you're pushing for the outcome, or pushing for the like action, truly, which is a good thing because a lot of people will wait.
Yeah.
Like you're not impatient, but you don't really wait on much.
No, I don't. I want to get it off my plate.
And but understanding that like balance between not being really ridiculously impatient and annoying and pushing for an outcome or taking action towards that outcome, you do have a really good way of knowing that balance.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's interesting. I guess I would say the other thing is you're very likable. As in you have a very like someone said to me this week, described it, I think, as charming. Oh. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that part. You're making me blush. You can't tell. Taking action and being likable, I think is a great skill set. So, so when you think about times that you've like failed or messed up,
okay. Let's get obviously, back into that.
I mean, you can't go. I mean, I guess you could go with your CP Morgan time frame. Okay. But is there any other times that you think you've messed up or failed in a way that was more substantial than maybe something you've mentioned?
Yeah, like I mean, building a whole real estate team, you just fail the whole time. Like everything is a failure. Like you're literally plane crash, and then all of a sudden something happens, and so like. It's almost like there's like one failure when it's literally a series of failures
every day.
It's just thank goodness, out of that there might be something that that is a good thing enough of the time. So when the whole
you just hope there are survivors from every one of those plane crashes. That's the goal, right?
It's just when you're an entrepreneur, you're always putting out fires.
So like if you could quantify those like business failures with a team, is there something specifically where you're like, this is what I failed at the most in building your business?
Yeah, like the biggest part like, man, I could just pick so many, but I'm gonna say this. Like, I failed at like smelling the roses.
Okay. Yeah.
And I still fail at it.
Yeah.
And I actually think that is like driving me to be better.
Okay.
So then I want to focus on serving and helping more people and doing it less. And I think that my son's over here. I don't know how much I missed that.
Yeah.
You know, them growing up. And like, that's what's so, it's great that I have Julian around because I get to kind of relive their you know, childhood. But I feel bad about that.
From the fact that like you had to go through the grind experience of providing and trying to figure out how to be a parent at a young age and
I was 19.
figure out some sort of balance. And I've said repeatedly, there's no way I could have done that. I don't think at 19 I would have been remotely capable to do it. Especially as an old parent now, it seems like. So I know that I couldn't do it comparative to where I am today. So like, would you say you failed business wise? You said not stopping to smell the roses. What else like in building your business has been one of the harder challenges or failures?
So I feel like that's a cliffhanger. Can I go back and clean that up?
Yeah, sure.
So not smelling the roses, that's kind of like the symptom, but then how did I fix it is leverage.
Okay.
So then you understand like you can do more by having a team around you and taking that off your plate. So I just wanted to clean up that.
So okay, I thought you would say that as your is that you would say that people maybe were or building a team of people was maybe something that was a failure.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I guess I'm saying it in a way that I need to clean it
so
up.
When you think about that though, you've always had people in your organization. Would you say that it wasn't a matter of like trying to have people, but maybe not having the right people for your organization or the right training and resources to get them there at the time?
So what it is like you're failing, right? Mm-hmm. So then you hire people and then that's a failure.
Because when you're failing, they're automatically going to fail. Yeah.
Well, they're
likely going to.
They may fail. You're not good at, like, this is the thing. I'm a really good salesperson. I'm a really good real estate agent. That doesn't make me a good entrepreneur. Yeah. So there's a lot of muscles and different skill sets you have to exercise, and hiring is one of them. Yeah. So I'm an optimistic person. So when I hire people, I tend to think they can do what they say they can do versus what they can actually do. And so it took me a really long time to know that, like, so when you hire somebody and it's a colossal failure while you're getting your teeth kicked in, it makes you not want to get your teeth kicked in again. Yeah. Right. So then you say, you know what, I'm not going to do it. But the thing is, it's just like when I'm working with a client, the more clients I work with, the more I can see trends and patterns and know when I can help them and when they need this or when they need that. Now that I'm meeting with agents and interviewing people, I can literally see you're going to be a hot mess. Yeah. Or you're going to be you're a rock star. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference.
I do. Truly, I hate to say this, but like what comes to mind is like when if you date a lot or you go on a lot of dates,
you can see
it's easier to figure out.
Well, yeah.
Like,
I'm older
we're just
now.
not a good fit. Yeah. Like you are a great person. We're just not a good fit. Yeah. And that's the big difference.
That's where I feel like sales training really does come in handy though, is you learn how to ask better questions throughout the process, so then you can better and more effectively help the clients. Yeah. But then also, in turn, use that same knowledge into everyday life.
It's the numbers. Like, you can literally see red flags. You're not working with me.
You know what's interesting though is like hiring, if is incredibly complicated. I think about hiring in a way that's like, if 50% of marriages fail, why would we think that more than 50% of our hires would actually work? We as people evolve to lie as a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
And so people lie really well in interviews, whether consciously or subconsciously. Oftentimes we tell optimistic stories, and people get good at telling the same optimistic narrative because oftentimes they believe that.
Yeah.
And
I want to think I could do it. I applied to CEO jobs 10 years ago, thinking that I knew what I was doing.
You might have been able to sell your way through the interview process if potentially. If you had
what I know now, there was no reason for me to apply.
Right,
right.
But it's so truly, like, I think that's one of the things that factors into being one of the challenges of hiring, because at this point, like, I feel like I've hired and interviewed a lot of people and still make a lot of hires that don't work long term. In fact, if you think about it, like, Gary Keller wrote a course, which is amazing.
It's amazing.
It's taught at Keller Williams, Career Visioning, and still has. When Keller Williams became the number one real estate company in the world, that entire leadership team is gone, and that's 4 years later.
Right.
And the new leadership team, or the new leadership that was replaced that team, is now gone.
Right.
And so even the best of the best with the most experience in hiring still struggle from a long-term retention perspective.
Jesus had 12 disciples.
That's right. Yeah.
I always say that there was one of them. He was wrong on one of them. Well, he knew. But see, that's how I get grace. Like, look, Jesus had 12 and one of them ratted on him.
Yeah. So. What have you learned though by hiring more people? Is it to hire better, train better, lead better, or differently? What have you learned from that?
All of
like
the
what
above.
could other people implement from your mistakes?
All the above. It's the thing is, it's all mathematics, it's numbers. And so the problem is most people want to hire one person, and you have to talk to 100 people. Yeah. You have to talk to 100 people, and then within, like I tell people, don't marry that person you married when you was 18. If you knew I married, this is gonna be on TV. This is gonna be on YouTube, and this is an episode. But anyway, you have to date. You have to see a whole bunch of people in order to see, okay, this person fits. And so when you get into the business and you're a young leader, and then another thing that I didn't understand is influence. Not only do you have to have talented people, you have to have people that you can influence. I say this and there's like influence both ways. If you're a rock star and you're talented and I ask you to do something and it doesn't get done, that's a problem. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway.
So when you say influence, then do you mean that people have to like follow your instructions, follow your lead?
I'm I'm a servant leader, so I don't feel like I don't feel like everything that I do within my organization I've done. Yeah. So, but like if you have an executive assistant, you ask them to, like, hey, will you follow up on this? And then they don't do that.
There's no follow up. Yeah.
When there's no follow up, then that's a problem.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe I worded that clunkily.
No. You're good. I know your intent. Okay. What's been the most challenging leadership skill to develop or to learn? What do you either struggle with the most now, or have struggled to like improve upon and get level 10 with? Level 10. Most challenging leadership skill to develop for you.
Can this be multiple choice?
You can pick. You can pick. How about 2?
Okay.
You mean I'm gonna give you these?
Narrow it down.
Gosh, I guess I'll just I'll throw out a few leadership traits. I think leadership traits would be like consistency, influence, clarity, casting vision, defining the mission and the objective.
It's clarity. I think it's clarity.
Okay.
So this is what stops everybody is fear.
Okay.
Everybody's scared. But fear is only a byproduct of a lack of clarity. So then when you are clear about everything, you're emboldened. You walk with boldness. And so my job is when I fear something, I get clear about it. And then I no longer fear it. See what I'm saying? So like from a like, that's why I read a lot of books.
Yeah.
Like once I can like see it.
How do you get? So I get what you're saying, because I guess let me try to categorize. Let me see if I understand your clarity. When we think about this podcast, we started out doing this in last summer.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And we originally started it as a conversation around race relations.
Right.
And then you followed up and said, "Hey, that was a great conversation. I really enjoyed doing that. Let's do it again." Because you're an action taker, we did another one. And then you're like, let's do some more of this. So then you took action and you got a book and learned about podcasting and how to improve upon that. Did that give you clarity to do more of it?
Yes.
Okay, so then from a leadership perspective, then you have clarity, but how do you get clarity to the people who need it in order for them to take action?
So just being really clear, like, so having systems and models that they follow, and then measuring, and then having a standard and just saying, hey, this is how we roll here. Yeah.
So then when you say clarity is a difficult challenge a difficult skill set to develop, do you have any struggles or challenges with like giving clear directions or helping other people get clarity? Or
I don't think I do.
You need it in order for you to take action
I need, so like for me to have the vision, to cast a vision, I need to be really clear on what that vision is.
Yeah.
And normally the reason why people fear big visions is because they lack clarity around it. And when you realize how simple it is, it emboldens you to take action when other people don't.
Yeah, that's a big complaint about me, is I don't give a lot of clarity, and so I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Do you articulate well with clarity, you think? So you can describe it well and you can paint a clear picture?
Do you guys think so with my little analogies? I keep saying, I keep looking at mine. I was like, this is an analogy. This is an analogy.
Yeah.
So do you think I don't know. I think that I'm pretty good.
I was looking at Kate just because I know she's got experience from
maybe
handling, like, what did you do for Michael this week?
So a couple different projects you're working on right now for the Indy Metro West office. No, it's not bad. The interesting thing is my experience with Michael is he also kind of trusts us to do our thing. So I don't need too much direction from him. So I don't know how great my answer is, but he's basically been working on just like vendor spotlights and just like talking to the people who are at the Indy Metro West office. And so he can send me, like, he can sit down and talk with them and then sends it to me and is like, let's produce it. Like, tell me what the best thing to do with this is. So I guess in that sense, I would be saying that one of his strengths is knowing what's not his strength. So he does just pass it off.
Yeah.
And then, like, I've now watched you, like, talk to a bunch of people on Zoom, and they're all people that are, like, very different personalities. And so when he was bringing up that, like, people are saying you're charming, like, you are, like, enigmatic, and, like, I can tell that all the different range of people that have talked to you, like, they immediately feel comfortable with you, where, like, I would not be good at doing that. So
that a listener can understand how to do, if they struggle with giving clarity or providing that to people, paint the picture between the two of us, because I think I don't do a great job with clarity. And I think Mike does a much better job. What's the difference, or like, as someone who may receive vision and direction?
That's a really good point. Because I guess what I said though is he still pretty much will send me like what he did and says, like, just kind of do something with it. So you guys actually both kind of do that.
Okay.
What it is that, and it's hard for you, but what would happen is if you would dropped it, or if you would have did something crazy, or if it looked all hot mess, I would have fired you and got somebody else.
Right.
So I give you the opportunity. Okay, show me what you got.
Right.
As soon as you prove yourself, I ain't thinking about it. I'm going to let you go about your day. I'm going to let you, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. And then I'm going to throw it out there.
Yeah, and you've recorded like a bunch of them
That's
already.
it.
Yeah, so you just send them and I download them, and each week I can pull from one.
So that's the focus. Instead of like focus on getting you better, like I just get rid of you.
So I'm going to make then the argument that says that clarity is actually not what your strength is. You're actually delegating to people who understand how to take an abstract concept into a tangible outcome.
Yeah.
Is that
integrators?
I would almost say, because you said clarity you thought was what you struggled with the most in leadership, and I just wonder if you don't.
I think that I did.
Yeah, maybe that's what you were saying.
I think that when I burned out, that becoming organized and becoming organized.
Yeah.
it allows you to give you, I mean, it does allow you to have mental clarity as well to see a vision more effectively
and
when
now
everything's not chaotic.
And now I can like delegate because I have an action list. And I look at my actions list and I'm like, I don't want to do that, Kate. I don't want to do that, Shailene.
Yeah.
And so it's giving me, well, before it would sit on my list. I don't know. You did the whole you did something for me. I bet you I had that on my list for a year.
Wow. Yeah, the MailChimp integration.
Yeah, and then I was just like, you know what, Kate, do this. And so that's what I learned how to do. That was the biggest thing.
You know, it is fascinating though, because you bring up the point about it was on your list for a year. That's the realization I have is if something's on my list, I'm avoiding it.
Yes.
Either because I don't know how to do it or I don't want to do it.
Right. Either one. So somebody else has got to do it.
Yeah.
So
if it has to be done, it either needs to go away and doesn't need done, or somebody else has to do it at that point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It sounds like you so now you're kind of saying like clarity is what you used to struggle with, and delegating is what allowed you to have your own clarity then.
Right. Absolutely. Being able to do that. And I still struggle with it. I mean, I still do things that I don't need to do. It's outside of my scope. So I still struggle with it, but now I'm super aware of it and I'm always looking for opportunities to delegate. So
that's good. I mean, that's a huge leadership skill set is to learn how to delegate for sure. Yeah. As we wrap things up, is there anything that when you think back the last 5 years, is there one thing that you've learned or implemented or done that you would advise everyone as an entrepreneur and as a real estate agent to implement that's been pivotal for your life and your career? Last 5 years.
Last 5 years.
Did you think you would be here today?
No. Well, you guys say here today, like I still feel like I'm still kind of.
Well, I mean, I think it's important to realize you have a successful real estate business and you run and you lead, nearly 100 real estate agents. And
didn't I mention earlier about smelling the roses?
With 11% of our market share.
Smell the roses guy.
So 11 when you have 11% of market share in a market, I mean that's
I know.
that's
I'm humble. Yeah. I'm being humble. You're learning the whole way. And I couldn't do, the thing is, it's not me.
Yeah.
One, it's God. Like that's the biggest thing that's kind of changed in my life is the way I weigh everybody, it's God. And then two, it's just people. And so, I'm able to lead all these people and do all these things, but in all reality, I've just discovered that it's like cooking a salad. I can either I can go and throw in bad ingredients, or I can go in and get some Angus beef.
Yeah. And
so like the better the ingredients, the better the outcome. So that's the biggest thing that I've learned. And in the 5 years, let me think. Consistency. The biggest difference between Michael Bounds 2005 or 2016 and Michael Bounds is that habits, big, huge, ridiculous habits and models. So
yeah,
whatever business you're in, if you're in insurance, if you're a loan officer, if you're a real estate agent, if you're a real estate agent, read the Millionaire Real Estate book, MREA, and build that. I've read that book 6 times, and then the family reunion, Gary Keller says, 10 times minimum. So guess what? I started 7. So follow big models and big things will happen. Just take one step.